Free Jim Harbaugh. Free Jim Harbaugh. Michigan silences college football, silences the haters, silences the doubters. 24-15 gets the victory against a top 10 team. Penn State on the road and really dominated the game from about the middle of the first quarter on. Sharon Moore crying to the camera. I loved it. I love the emotion. I love his emotion towards Harbaugh. Jack came over to me. I gave him a little hug in there. I looked up. He was crying in his arms. Young Harbaugh. It was an emotional moment for you, for the team, for the coaching staff, for us here at the Michigan Football Report. The haters and losers can whine all night, but the Connor Stalions story is over. Michigan football is back at the top of college football. They should be the number one team in the country. We are going to talk about my 5 instant reactions from today's massive win, not just from the score, not just from the rankings, but just from silencing all the doubters around college football. It is the Michigan Football Report from Chat Sports. Let's get this thing rolling right now. (24-15). Hey, Vegas. Hey, what? Michigan covered a spread without Connor Stalions. 49-0. 24-15. Yeah, they're better against the spread without Stalions than apparently they were with him. We have got 5 instant reactions here on Saturday. Ohio State game. In 2 weeks, we're going to be celebrating. I'm going to be pouring beer in my head. Jack and I, we might do something crazy that day. I don't know. 2 weeks in the Ohio State game. No Jim Harbaugh. No problem for this team. And today was all about this. It was survive and advance. And Michigan played decent. They played well. They played good. There were some questionable calls, I think, from Sharon Moore throughout the second quarter, third quarter. But when things came down to it, when this team needed to hunker down and score a touchdown to secure the victory, it was Blake Corum. When they needed to stop on defense 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, 4 times in the second half, it was that defense. No Harbaugh. You obviously guys are following with me. It's no surprise to you. But what a just absolute sham. What a complete disaster of a public relations move from the Big Ten to suspend Jim Harbaugh after they'd already landed in Happy Valley yesterday, and then for the Washtenaw County courts not to be able to take the case before kickoff. No Harbaugh, though. No problem. Michigan survives and advances. Harbaugh has a court case coming up on Friday before the Maryland game on the road, which I'll be at. He doesn't have to be in person, but nevertheless, if that's approved, etc., he will be on the field next Saturday against Maryland for the 1,000th victory of Michigan football, the first program in college football history to get to 1,000 victories. JJ McCarthy did not throw a pass in the second half, folks. 7 of 8 for 60 yards on the game. But survive and advance is the conversation that we're having today here. After the game, you face Penn State. You face Rutgers. You face Indiana. You face Michigan State, which Ohio State will face later tonight. I think there is no question in my mind that Michigan has proved how talented of a team they are, despite any of the doubters, any of the allegations, anything that the people out there said, J.J. McCarthy shouldn't deserve the Heisman. Oh, yeah, Greg Doyle. I know he didn't have a light-up game today, but this is the quarterback of, I think, the best team in all of college football. Let's get a grade today. Jack, what do you think? A, B, C, D, or F? I mean, they didn't look perfect. It wasn't 39-3 or anything like that. I'm going a solid A-. Let me know your grade. Jack Louderray, Young Harbaugh.
Give me a B+. I feel like the defense struggled on 3rd and 4th down. They came up when they needed to, but I would have liked to see more from them, and giving up that garbage time touchdown, I didn't love that. I'll give them a B+, though. Going into Happy Valley, convincingly winning. The score doesn't show it, but it was a pretty convincing win. Yep. I'll give them a B+. I'll give them B+.
B+ from Young Harbaugh. I'm going A-. Let me know your grade. Plus and minuses are allowed, and they are encouraged. Go down and grade Michigan against Penn State today down in the comments. Look, the Wolverines, I think, won this game in a lot of ways on 3rd down. Penn State was very risky today. They were going for on 4th down a couple times. Michigan kind of went for it, but then they, teased. They didn't really go, etc. Michigan 6 of 13, just under 50% on 3rd down. Penn State, though, they went 1 of 16 against Ohio State, 4 of 14 today, just a smidge better, a few more conversions. but I think Michigan's defense really held up on third down. I mean, there's so many guys to just compliment today. We'll talk more about the defense here later on in the show. This team got back to the basics, back to Harbaugh, back to Michigan football of last year, 2021. We're a running team. This was a running team. Jack, what was the final number? Was it 29 or was it 30? We'll talk about that. Say 29 straight runs that we calculated. 29 straight runs to end this ball game. Let's take a look at the guys. The best running back combo, I think, in college football history. Maybe not statistically this season, but Blake Corum, Donovan Edwards, 26 carries for 145. Blake Corum finally broke out of his shell. A long touchdown to seal this game. Donovan Edwards had his own 22-yard touchdown, combined for 197 yards. So basically 200 yards on the day and 3 touchdowns. 29 straight runs to end the game. Let's just kind of analyze this for a second. J.J. McCarthy, top 3 Heisman candidate right now with Bo Nix and Michael Penix, did not throw a pass in the second half, and you get a win against a number 10 ranked Penn State at Happy Valley, one of the top 2 or 3 places to play in all of college football, toughest places to play, I should say. I just want to give a little, Jack, you ready with me? Let's give a little round of applause. Round of applause to this team. Round of applause for Sharon Moore. Go down in the comment, just type round of applause. Just type round of applause down in the comments. And while you're down there, hit that subscribe button as we are approaching 29,000 subscribers, the biggest YouTube channel, the biggest show on YouTube for Michigan football, and actually in 2022, the biggest show on any platform, radio, TV, podcast, YouTube, etc. Biggest audience. We're this close. We're neck and neck with a couple of competitors, so help us get there for the second straight year. Subscribe to the channel. Send that link to a friend at youtube.com/MichiganTV. I thought the defensive line was dominant today, and it didn't show up with just, overwhelming amount of sacks or anything like that. But there are a couple players that I want to point out, which I will do here in a second. But before I do, I want to tell you about Prize Picks, the sponsor of the Michigan Football Report. It's the easiest and fastest way to play daily fantasy sports. Pick more or less on player stats to win up to 25 times your money with Prize Picks. This week on Prize Picks, I am selecting Trevor Lawrence. I'm going more than 240.5 yards. I'm going more, 248? 248 yards and a half yards. I'm going more for Trevor Lawrence for the Jags. I'm going more for Jonathan Taylor. I'm also going more. I've got a little more theme for Lamar Jackson for 1.5 touchdowns on the day. That's how easy it is with Prize Picks. You don't have to set complex lineups and play against a bunch of other professional players. People try and take advantage of the new player, a little guy like me. I'm not a big daily fantasy player, but I've been loving Prize Picks because how simple it is. I just go in, I type in my favorite players, I type in games I think I might have some information on. Boom, more or less on the player stats that they present to me. And what I even love is Prize Picks offers a reboot policy. So if a player that you pick in your entry gets hurt in the first half and does not return in the second half, Prize Picks lets the product keep on rolling. You get rebooted, and your picks selection continues to roll without that player in the second half. You just kind of backed out of it, and Prize Picks is the only daily fantasy sports platform with an insurance injury policy. That's amazing. That's why I love it. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS to get a $100 deposit match. If you put up to $100, whatever you put in your first deposit, Prize Picks will match it, kind of double your money. You got to use code CLNS. prizepicks.com/CLNS. Use that code CLNS for a deposit match up to $100. Link is down in the comments. Link is down in the description of today's video and at the bottom of the screen. Just type it in your browser, get going, get yourself that deposit match. And hell, I didn't win today with Michigan, right? I took Blake Corum, Donovan Edwards, and Drew Aller. I won 2 of the 3, lost on Donovan Edwards, but it was so fun doing it. Go ahead and get started with Prize Picks today. prizepicks.com/CLNS. Back to number 3 of my instant reactions. That's the defensive line domination. Someone I want to point out today. There's 2 players really, but one in particular is Kenneth Grant. He was the guy that Jim Harbaugh called the gift from the football gods a few years ago, or last year around this time, summer of 2022. What a game that he had from the defensive tackle position, right? The backup defensive tackle position, right? Mason Graham, Chris Jenkins, They play good games, et cetera, et cetera. But I think the backups, Rayshawn, Trap Money Benny, and Kenneth Grant. Kenneth Grant gets my game ball. He was an absolute menace today, made life so difficult for Drew Aller, the former 5-star quarterback, top 10 player overall in last year's recruiting class. 10 of 22 for 70 yards, 1 touchdown for Aller. Much like the Ohio State game, he was not an X factor at all. Michigan really solved the Drew Aller puzzle, and I think Aller has a lot of looking in the mirror to do after today's loss to Michigan, because both games against elite defenses, Michigan and Ohio State, he looked not very good, and Michigan gets the win. Puts, I think, the allure and the aura of playing at Happy Valley just down a notch after today's win without Jim Harbaugh. In my opinion, today means Michigan's number one, right? Later on today, depending on when you're watching this, we're filming this directly after the game. The second the ball snapped for the final play, we're filming. But Georgia's going to play Ole Miss today. That's a 2 versus 9 matchup. This is 3 versus 10. If they beat Ole Miss by 40 or 50 points, okay, maybe Georgia's number one. But I'm going against Ohio State as of right now. Georgia's had 3 games so far this year that they have kind of had closer games, struggle games, etc. Ohio State, Penn State played. The difference is 1 point better for Michigan today, but with a last-second touchdown for Penn State. Ohio State had their last-second touchdown. So it's a very skewed score. I think Michigan was absolutely the more dominant team in both those games, compared to Penn State. And then you compared Indiana and Rutgers and others. And what happens tonight with Ohio State and Michigan State, we'll see. But Michigan beat Michigan State 49-0 on the road. Unless Ohio State does better than that, I think Michigan should definitely be ranked ahead of them. Notre Dame, right? We're championing that Notre Dame win. It was an Ohio State group. Well, Notre Dame's got 3 losses, and they lost to 4-4 Clemson last week. So I think Michigan has proved now with this top 10 road victory that they have as good of a resume and as good of a domination as any team in the country. My 5th overreaction, or instant reaction, I should say, is Connor Stalions who? Connor Stalions who? Did Michigan need Stalions 2 years ago to have a last-second come-from-behind victory to beat Penn State? Maybe, according to the Big Ten, according to the NCAA. Did they need it today? No, they didn't. They were up 2 scores in the final minutes. Because Penn State, they needed a last-second touchdown to even be close to this Michigan team. And that's what makes this so amazing. Before I finish my thought on this, keep firing up the comments. Fire up the comments with a free Harbaugh. Type it 20 times. Type it 30 times. Whatever you have to do. I am so pumped up, Jack. I'm doing it right now. I'm hitting my helmet. I'm pumped up right now. I got a little bit of a headache now. Michigan wins. 14 days from now, they're going to dominate Ohio State, and it is going to be glorious. I hope Jim Harbaugh is back in the field next Saturday against Maryland. Comment free Harbaugh down in the comments. The third quarter dominance continued, right? It was kind of underreported. I didn't do my weekly tweet because I was just so wired into the game, but Michigan scored 3 points tonight. They are now 117-0. They have the point advantage this season against teams in the third quarter. And in a lot of ways, first possession after halftime, Penn State gets the fumble, Michigan gets the ball, goes down, scores a touchdown, goes up 17-9, and that was the game, right? In a lot of ways, that was the game. Penn State had a last-minute touchdown, but Michigan never relented. They went up by 8 points at that point. That was the ball game, and it was really cemented later on when Blake Corum went in for a touchdown of his own. Connor Stalions, who, that's just the story of, I think, this entire season. If you're a Michigan football fan, they didn't need it. They're not going to need it next week against Maryland. They are not going to need it against Ohio State in 14 days, and this team is going to win the Big Ten, go to the national championship game. It is the Michigan Football Report by Chat Sports. We will be back tomorrow with the Michigan Football Overreaction Sunday, and we'll have videos all next week. Obviously, the week after that, leading into the Ohio State game. Till then, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Get to 29,000 subscribers. Go Blue!